What's up, Market family? Welcome back to my channel. So today for you guys, I finally have a DIY. So today I have some fall DIYs using Dollar Tree products. I know that we're getting into Halloween now, and so I do want to do a Halloween video, and then after that I'm going full on Christmas at this point, because with as slow as I upload, the Halloween one will probably be up before Halloween. And by before, I mean like right before. Life with a newborn has been tough, but it's getting a little bit better figuring out his sleep system and when I can film in between there. It just takes a very long time to film. So I hope you guys enjoy these DIYs. Let me know your favorite one down in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let's see if we can get this video to 5,000 thumbs up. And give this video a thumbs up because during the making of this, I burned 4 of my fingers really bad, especially this middle one. This one is still recovering. The other ones have gotten a little better. This one looks like a crinkly mess. My favorite DIY is the one in the beginning, you'll see. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, make sure you subscribe and click the bell button to be notified every single time that I upload. I upload lots of Dollar Tree related videos, hauls, DIYs, and when I say lots, I used to upload lots, but now it's about once a month because I have a newborn and I'm in his nursery, this Toy Story nursery. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Now let's begin the video.
Let's start with my favorite DIY out of all of these. From Dollar Tree, I picked up 3 of these unfinished wood pumpkins. Before I do anything to them, I take off the little straw bow that's on the top. Now I'm going to be staining all 3 of them. I'm using Wreath wood stains in Early American and Dark Walnut. One of them I stained with the Early American stain, and then 2 of them were with the Dark Walnut stain. The Early American stain is more on the orange side, and then the Dark Walnut obviously is a more dark walnutty color. Next up, I'm staining these wood planks and wooden numbers and wooden letters. Now I'm going to be spelling out something. You obviously just need to choose the letters that you want for you. So I did something plain. I did Smith Pumpkin Patch, established 2019. And I just stained all of the planks and the letters and numbers with Wreath's Early American stain. Next up, I'll be taking some white foam board from Dollar Tree and cutting about 2 inches off of the width of it. Then I'll be taking my wooden planks and placing them around the edges of the foam board to create a border. Now I don't glue it down right away because I want to figure out the placement of the wooden planks before gluing them down and committing to where they're going to be. I also figured out the placement of the pumpkins, and then I glued down the planks as well as the pumpkins. I used wood glue because honestly that's what I had on hand and it was just like sitting right there, but you can use whatever glue you like because you are gluing it to foam board. You don't necessarily need wood glue for that. Now after I have the wooden planks and pumpkins glued down, I then take my letters and figure out the placement of that. And then once I figure out the placement and the spacing, I go ahead and glue those down as well. I recommend putting a little bit of glue and then using your finger to smear it out just so there's not too much glue on the back of the letters, and then you place it down and a bunch of glue spews out of the sides and then it makes your picture look really funny. So I spelled out something a bit generic. I put Smith Pumpkin Patch, established 2019. That's when Matt and I got married. And then I spelled our names out on the pumpkins. Not our full names because the Dollar Tree letters are a bit big for these pumpkins. So I just shortened it Beth, Matt, and Coop. I know you can find smaller wooden letters at other craft stores. So if you want smaller letters, check out like Michael's, Joann Fabrics. You can also use your Cricut. You can write this out with like a marker or something else. It's completely up to you. But it worked out for us. Even though I never really call Cooper Coop, I call him Coopy or Coopy Coo. After I have everything glued down, I then attach the straw bows back to where they were, and then I add little burlap bows. I use this buffalo check, or is it the gingham? No, actually it's gingham because it's smaller squares. It's so, I can't tell sometimes. Anyhow, it's black and white square bow that I tied up and I glued down. Again, using wood glue, but I mean really wood glue to glue ribbon. It's obviously not necessary. It's just, again, wood was sitting there, so I just used it. And then that was it for this Smith Pumpkin Patch, established 2019 picture. I love this thing so much, especially since it's like customized to my family, and you can do it for your family. You can make it bigger, use 2 pieces of foam board, more planks, and just make a bigger one. This cost me only $10 to do. I needed 2 packs of the planks, 3 pumpkins, 2 packs of the letters, 1 of the numbers, the burlap bows, and the foam board. I had the stain on hand, and if you don't want to use a wood stain, you want something a little bit less expensive, you can always use an acrylic paint. Onto our next DIY, more so like a hack because it's super easy to do, nothing much involved. I'm going to be using these little orange pumpkins from Dollar Tree and taking off the top of it, which is just like a green stem. I went ahead and I spray painted them using this Rust-Oleum spray paint in cinnamon. I then take the little green pieces and I paint them with this army green paint that I got at Walmart for 50 cents. It was on clearance. After everything is painted, I go ahead and attach the stems back to the pumpkin, and now you have something that looks so much better than that very cartoonish Halloween type of coloring. These just came out really nice, and you could use them to decorate anywhere. So something I like to do with these pumpkins is use them for tablescapes. So I go ahead and place them around some greenery on top of my table. I have this eucalyptus from Dollar Tree. Actually, I lied, from Hobby Lobby. I'm so used to saying Dollar Tree. And I just placed the pumpkins around there. I also spray painted some smaller pumpkins from Dollar Tree with that cinnamon color. And I placed it around the greenery, and it really just stands out. And it's just so inexpensive to do. I highly recommend doing this with some of the Dollar Tree pumpkins. You can go ahead and take them from looking, like I said, very Halloween-like, and just bring it down a bit, and it matches, I would say, better with like farmhouse decor or even boho decor. It just goes with a lot of different things. This is one of my favorite DIYs too. Dollar Tree right now carries a bunch of unfinished wood trays, and I'm going to be using this one that you see right here. They come in like different shapes and designs. So what I'm doing is I'm staining the center with that Wreath Early American stain, and then the outer edges of the tray and the bottom of the tray using the Wreath dark walnut stain. Because I stained this with 2 colors, I used a paint sponge versus just like a washcloth, which I tend to use. I'm also going to be using some pumpkins inside of this DIY. Now some of them I sprayed completely with that Rust-Oleum cinnamon spray paint, and then some of them I sprayed just the top of it with the spray paint. When I sprayed them, I took the stems out and then I had to put them back in. So you can just fill up your tray with all these cute little pumpkins. There's little ones and then even smaller ones that Dollar Tree carries. They even carry bigger pumpkins than this, as you have seen me use before. Now, after I had the pumpkins inside of there, I wanted to add something else. So I ended up getting this straw bale from Dollar Tree, and I put that inside of the tray, just displayed the pumpkins around that. And then I got this little chalkboard sign from Dollar Tree. I took a white chalk marker and I just spelled out pumpkins 5 cents and put that inside of the tray, and it just looks so freaking cute. It's like your own little tiny pumpkin patch. I absolutely love this. This you can stick inside of a bigger tier tray. You can just display this as is. You can even put this on top of a bigger tray. It's completely up to you, and I love this, like I said. For our next DIY, I bought a bunch of unfinished plaque pieces from Dollar Tree. They're wooden plaques in different shapes. There's like oval ones and circle ones. I went ahead and stained them using the Wreath Early American stain. Next up, I will be taking some of these little DIY stickers from Dollar Tree, as well as these DIY wood shapes that I got from Target, and they're only $1 at Target, and they're much nicer than anything I would get at Dollar Tree. I couldn't even imagine me having to make these little words using Dollar Tree products. It'd be very, very hard. So go to Target, the Bullseye Playground, and you get one for $1 and you call it good to go. And I see these still at all of the Targets near me because I feel like people don't really know what to do with these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little wooden letters and wooden words and just place them on top of these plaques, and I'm going to make a bunch of little plaques that I can stick inside of my tier trays. You can even write things down on the plaques if you want to, if you don't want to use the wooden letters or you can't find them. You know, Dollar Tree does carry the wooden letters, but as you saw previously, they're big, so on those little Dollar Tree plaques you're not going to be able to spell out anything too crazy. You might be able to fit 4 of them on top of like the rectangular one, but honestly, more likely you're just going to be able to fit 3. So I don't really know what you can spell out other than like Christmas sayings like joy. So, you know, go to Target. It's $1, same price you're going to pay at Dollar Tree, and they're really, really nice. Now, these things do have a sticker, but if you want to secure it even more, just add a little bit of wood glue to the back of the pieces and it's not going anywhere. And now I have all these cute little pieces that I can stick inside of my tier trays. They fit perfectly inside of the smaller tier trays too that you get from the Bullseye Playground that are $5. They're just so cute, and you can make so many of them for a very inexpensive price. For the next DIY, I'm going to be using these pallet pieces that I got from Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do is stain them again like I've been doing. And I'm using the Wreath dark walnut stain and a paint sponge to stain it, because the paint sponge is really going to get into the cracks and crevices of this little palette that a regular washcloth like I tend to use can't really get into. Once I have it stained and it is dried, I'm going to be taking these 4x6 picture frames from Dollar Tree and gluing them to the palettes. I used the wood glue because, again, that's kind of what I just had on hand. Now, not the entire palette is going to touch the back of the picture frame, so you got to figure out where it touches. It tends to be on the shorter sides of the frame, and I just put the glue there and then place the palette down onto the glue. I'm then going to be using, again, those little wooden shapes that I got from Target and placing them in the center of these palettes. Now, these things that I made are actually based off of some pieces that I bought at Burlington a while back. I bought them at Burlington. I really wanted to recreate them using some Dollar Tree products, and I really like how these came out. Because the little wooden words from Target come like so many in a pack, you can make these things for as cheap as $2.25. It's really, really cheap to make. These don't just have to be for fall time. You can use these throughout the year. The ones I got from Burlington, I use them all of the time. They're just really, really nice. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using these crates from Dollar Tree. You guys might be hearing Cooper crying, but Matt's taking care of him right now while I do a voiceover. You know what? This might become the norm. You might hear Cooper crying inside of the background. Anyways, so I'm taking these wooden crates and I'm gluing 4 of them together. Now, I stained them using the Wreath dark walnut stain, and I'm just using a hot glue gun to glue all 4 of them together. You can use wood glue. A hot glue gun is perfectly fine for this as well. Now I'm going to be using some styrofoam pieces from Dollar Tree. I have to cut them to fit the inside of the crates. I ended up using 3 of them. I cut 2 of them in half, put them inside of the crate, and then I cut 1 of them into 4 pieces to fit the small little spaces that were still showing after I cut the initial 2. Now I'm just going to fill this up with a bunch of floral pieces that I got at Dollar Tree. They carry so many different pieces. I got leaves and I cut them off of the stem using a wire cutter. I got some sunflowers, some wheat, and smaller flowers. It's important to cut the flowers off of the main stem so that your thing that you're creating looks much more fuller, rather than you're putting like one gigantic stem with sunflowers here, one stem with leaves here. It just kind of looks funny that way. You want it to be spread throughout and get more bang for your buck. I used about $10 worth of floral pieces from Dollar Tree. My footage messed up on me and it like cut all of a sudden. I didn't realize to stop filming, so it goes from looking sparse to very full, and that's because the footage messed up. But it's pretty self-explanatory. It's cut the flower off of the stem and stick inside of the styrofoam, and then you end up with this really pretty centerpiece. It doesn't have to be a centerpiece, you know, you could stick it on top of a dresser or on a mantle. It's completely up to you, but I feel like it's a very pretty centerpiece to put in the middle of your table. Super easy to do, inexpensive, and it's just so pretty. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using these small little jars that Dollar Tree recently got in. Now, I got this one that has a gray rooster in the front and a gray lid. So what I'm doing is I'm taking 100% acetone from Dollar Tree and I'm using it to remove the image off of the jar. Now, I'm going to be taking a burlap pumpkin of all things and removing the burlap from the pumpkin, because I'm going to be using that burlap to place on top of my jars. So the burlap pumpkin, you'll get 4 pieces of burlap from that. I take one of those pieces, place it on top of the jar, and use glue to glue it into place. Wait, what? Use hot glue to glue it into place. Sometimes, guys, that don't make sense. I just don't. But I don't type out my voiceovers. I just like talk from the top of my head, so Yay, Bethany. After I have my burlap on top of the lid, I then take some twine from Dollar Tree and wrap it around the sides of the lid and then just kind of tie a knot so that the twine stays in place. Then I take those small little pumpkins that come in a 3-pack from Dollar Tree and I just glue them on top of the lid. So I had made 3 of these total, so I had enough pumpkins in 1 pack from Dollar Tree. Now Dollar Tree also carries a bunch of different stickers, even letter stickers you can use to put something on top of your jar. I am just going to be using these stickers right here that say like bead, ribbons. It just says different things and I'm just placing them in the front of my jars and it's just very cute fall farmhouse decor. I really like the way these turned out. This is where things took a turn for the worse for me. So from Dollar Tree, I'm going to be using those pumpkins yet again, the ones that I spray painted with the cinnamon spray paint. I'm also going to be taking this white nautical rope from Dollar Tree and I used my hands just to unravel the rope because I am going to be placing single pieces of that rope down the little crevices of my pumpkin. So what I was doing was trying to mimic some pumpkins that I had gotten from Target. I was trying to mimic them, recreate them using Dollar Tree products. So I was taking those pieces of rope and gluing them between the crevices of my pumpkin. When all of a sudden I burned one of my fingers on my right hand and my instinct was to take the hot glue off of my right finger and therefore burning my left hand by touching the hot glue with my left hand. So I burned 3 fingers on my left hand and 1 on my right hand and they instantly got blisters and turned white and it hurt so bad. After I filmed this, I actually went to Dollar Tree and bought finger protectors, but I'm pretty sure I burned them so bad because I was using a high temp glue gun. I'm going back to a low temp glue gun. It is not worth that pain. And I don't know how well the finger protectors are going to be because I feel like they might get annoying to use, but I'm going to try them because your girl doesn't want to do that ever again. So to the bottom of the pumpkin, I went ahead and trimmed it. My plan wasn't to like glue it down there, but I ended up just kind of trimming it down because I did not want to use the hot glue gun again after burning my fingers like that. So your girl did what she had to. After I had the rope down, I went ahead and glued the stem to the middle of that, and then I had something that looks similar to what I got at Target. I wanted to do some other pumpkins. I ended up using some thicker ribbon that I got from Walmart and placing that around my pumpkin. I was using hot glue still, but this time I took the end of one of those stems from the flowers I was using earlier and using that to push the ribbon into the hot glue with. But yeah, I don't know. I started to give up with this pumpkin because I was like so over it. There are so many ways to decorate Dollar Tree pumpkins, but this is what you're getting from me. I had more ideas, but after I burned my fingers, I was like, I'm over it. For our next DIY, I will be using those little pallets that I got from Dollar Tree again. I'll be using 6 of them. I went ahead and stained them with that same color that I keep using, Varathane Dark Walnut Stain. Now I'm going to be taking my wood glue and attaching all 6 of my pallets together. Part of this was filmed one day and then part of it was filmed the other day, so all of a sudden I'm going to be wearing my brace, so it was a different day. Now just be careful that you don't get wood glue that is seeping through wherever 2 pallets meet. If you do, just rub it out. I was filming this part the day that I burned my fingers, so initially I wanted to attach some nautical ropes to be the handles for a tray, but I didn't want to use my hot glue, so instead I just took these 2 little handles that I got from Hobby Lobby and I attached them to my tray, and I made this really pretty tray that just doesn't have to be for fall, but the colors from the pumpkins that I made and just like other fall related items go so well on this tray, so it's just a really pretty tray to decorate with fall items. Next up, we're gonna make a wreath. I bought the biggest wire wreath form that I could find at Dollar Tree, as well as a bunch of floral pieces and greenery pieces. This isn't everything that I used. I'm just showing you like different options that are at Dollar Tree. Now, I do recommend getting 2 of their leaf wire garland pieces. Actually, I don't even think it's wire, it's just garland pieces. And the reason I recommend getting at least 2 of them is you can use them as a base so that any other floral piece you glue to this has something to attach to, and it also helps the background of the wreath look fuller. It just, you get more bang for your buck with the little leaf garland. And like I said, it helps the other pieces of floral to attach better, because when you're just trying to glue them to the wire itself, they tend to fall off sometimes. So at least with the leaves there, you can glue them partly to the leaves and partly to the wire, and it just has a better base for the floral pieces to stick to. So I had gotten the leaf garland down, then I added some more pieces of leaves that I had bought from a leaf stem. I cut off each individual leaf and glue them down that way, and I recommend starting with leaves first. If you're going to be using any leaves, put the leaves down and then attach. Ooh, you probably heard a notification. Then attach your floral pieces and pumpkins that way, because again, it's adding a base for those pieces to stick onto better. Because the leaves will go on flat, and then the flower pieces just don't go on as flat, and the pumpkins don't either. But the pumpkins do have clips on them, the ones I use, so I could just clip them directly to the wire or glue them down. I did film this the day before I burned my finger, so that's why I'm still using this glue gun. I do have a very similar glue gun that has a low and high setting, so I'm just going to start using that one. It's the exact same glue gun, except it's not just high temp only. And then I added these little berries. They're green berries, and I really liked the way that they looked inside of my wreath. It just made it pop a little bit more. It really just brought out the colors. By adding that green, it really brought out like the orange and the beige. Very pretty. I love how my wreath turned out. It's hanging on my front door. It cost me $10 to make, and I really didn't want to buy a wreath this year because they get expensive. So this was perfect for me, and it looks awesome. Finally, a coaster DIY I shared previously in a Target video. So I'm going to be using these small little pallets that I got from Dollar Tree and staining them with my Wreath dark walnut stain. If you can't tell, this is my favorite wood stain. After I have my coaster stained, I then take those little Target words that I got for $1 and I just attach them to my palette. Now I did use some wood glue to attach them because the little words that I used here, the adhesive on the back isn't the greatest, so I used some wood glue from Dollar Tree to attach them and they don't go anywhere. You can go ahead and use some type of sealer on these. I didn't. They're just coasters that I use more for decor rather than putting actual mugs and cups on top of. But you can do whatever you like with them, and it's really easy to make. Like 2 of them cost me $3 and I still had some words left over. So yeah, really pretty and inexpensive to make.
So I hope you guys enjoyed these DIYs. What I really like about them is they don't look like Dollar Tree DIYs. It doesn't really look like something you crafted. It looks like something that you bought, whether it be at like Home Goods, Kirkland's. They're all really nice, inexpensive, and easy to do. So again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And again, give the video a thumbs up because now I do not have fingertips anymore. No, I'm joking. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.